marching the rules I may break. The key to the balance, the give it or take. The shadows of light that may look dim. I'll travel this road without peace within.
We're live.
Wow.
And look who I have with me.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, this is Robert Berry, and we are talking to you from Robert Berry's studio.
That's right.
Where he, oh, look at questions coming up already.
We're in trouble already?
Yes, it's for
Let's
you,
see,
Robert. Go ahead and read it.
Hey, everybody. It's a, do you want to tag Robert Berry in this video? No, I don't.
And what else have you got going on?
Oh, my. Let's see. Watching. Uh-huh. I can't, that's a cool name. Iñaki?
Oh, yeah.
That's really, I like that. Chris Noto.
Oh, Chris. Hi.
Hey, Chris. Oh, another one from Greece, I think, possibly.
Oh.
And I can't say that either, but it says watching. I like that. There's another Chris Noto. Uh-oh. Two Chris Notos. Oh, my, that guy's been cloning himself. I should have known.
Of course he is.
Philip, of course he is.
I mean, what? There's Andrew. There's...
That's right. The Notos.
The Notos. Okay.
Right.
Well, what we were going to do, we were going to talk about what Robert's doing this year with his tour. We're going to talk about, Robert's going to talk about his 3.2.
I told us to make it very difficult to you, so I just said the last thing I'm going to say. Go ahead.
That's okay. Robert also has a little surprise for us, and that's going to come up after we have our questions. He's going to take us, just to tell you, why don't you tell?
Well,
you tell.
Very few people actually come to the studio. I do interviews all over the world, and they don't come to the studio and get to see where everything's done and get to see the people. I mean, if you want to grab the phone, you know, everybody that I've worked with has come in here, including Keith and Carl. We recorded, we rehearsed here. Look back here. This is Cabo Wabo. I just got back from Mexico vacation, but there's Sammy Hagar, and I mean, a great time of my life. 90s when Sammy was sort of being removed from Van Halen. They didn't want him to use Michael Anthony on bass.
Oh.
So Sam called, because I do some keyboard stuff for him. And he said, will you play bass for a few years? So I played with him for a few years, which was a lot of fun. And of course, that was right after these guys. You might recognize these guys.
They look a little familiar.
Now I would tell you,
what?
they look a little familiar because the night before we stayed up so late that they had to airbrush this photo.
Oh, no!
Look at how smooth Keith is there. Ooh, I mean, Carl's always pretty smooth, even now, Carl. But Keith and me, we're really smooth.
This is great. I'm going to try and turn the camera around
do that.
so that you can show.
There it is. The third one over, I think.
Third one over.
Yep, the camera there.
That's the one.
Oh,
There we go. Okay,
so yeah, very smooth. They didn't have Photoshop then, 1980. That was 87, I guess, before our tour in 88. So, and the people have seen that picture before.
Look, that good-looking guy right there.
That guy is long gone. I know what happened to him. He has the face of a 30-year-old, and he's getting it all wrinkled.
You know what?
So,
you don't seem to age.
Well, yeah. That's God's little gift, is failing vision as we get older.
Okay. Yeah.
That's Sammy, of course, in Cabo. Now, I was lucky to work with guys in Ambrosia. I toured with them for a couple of years. You see, that is a fantastic band there. Those guys are amazing. I would still be with them if I could have got them to do a new album, but at the time they just don't want to do a new album, and I'm always looking for what can I do next. So
great band.
Now, I got to tell you, the next picture, even though it's black and white, when Sammy went to Van Halen, at the same time that Geffen Records gave my cassette tape to Carl Palmer, they gave it to Sammy Hagar's band. That's David Lauser, Sammy's drummer, Alan Fitzgerald, the keyboard player, Gary Peel, his guitar player. And they told them, I think Robert Berry would be a good fit. It won't be a new Sammy Hagar. He's more like Sting meets Bryan Adams. They're trying to get me out of progressive into straight rock.
Wow.
That's what definitely thought. And of course, Carl put out his fishing line and said, I think you need to stay in the progressive music field. He reeled me. I said, well, I'm going to do that. But Alliance, at the same time, we've been doing albums for 30 years. Since after 3, I came back and they're still looking, so we got together
That's
and did
excellent.
that.
That's
Yeah.
just excellent. Now,
These are things that people just don't see, and I should do this. Keith had a lot to do with Korg making this portable B3 a long time ago. So I have one. What was really funny is it didn't work. There's a chip inside they don't make anymore. So I called him up and I said, I have one of these, what's a CX3, I think it's called, and it doesn't work. Oh, we don't make that chip anymore. I said, well, I know, but I'm working with Keith Emerson. Oh, hold on. I said, we got one here. We'll take it out of the organ and send it to you. Boom, just like that. I got my chip. It still works great. And let me take this out of the way, though, because other people that come through here, while I was in
the Korg.
Mexico, yeah, the Korg, there it is.
There it is, the famous name Korg.
The old one. But there's Dwight Clark has been in here. The catch for the 49ers, this football guy.
Yeah.
While I was gone, Jeff Goldblum was in here doing
Jeff
narration for some show he's going to do. And
Jeff Gold?
this is the world's best kept secret. Yeah, he was here. And evidently he was a little stoned or something.
Oh,
No,
I'm
he
not
was
surprised.
fine.
Looking at me.
You grew up around here, so you know the Bammies.
Yeah.
There's a picture with Sammy and John Fogerty and Eddie
Oh, my
Money and
gosh.
Michael Bolton,
Oh, my
Neil
goodness
Schoen,
sakes.
and Keith, Carl, and myself up there.
What a great picture.
Just my history of stuff, right
This
here.
is great. Look
That's
at that.
during our video shoot.
Oh, my
And
You
a
got
one
a
of
lot
a
of
kind.
questions.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff. The fans sent me these in the corner. It's gonna be kind of dark, but those are pictures no one ever seen.
Okay.
At the bottom of that. I think the top one I've posted before, but
You got
there's so much
stuff.
good stuff in here.
You
know?
just got stuff.
What
How
you
about
passed up that I have to show you are these cassette tapes, and I keep these around to inspire me because these are 3 mixes from West Side Studios when we were there. They are demos that I wrote 8 Miles High. Carl and I did this on an 8-track recorder or 4-track in my flat in London as a demo for Keith to hear. This is stuff that Keith sent me. And what's cool about this says Eleanor's workout tape on there. So Keith put music on here for me to hear and work on, but it started out as one of Eleanor's tapes. And she'd be like, Keith, have you seen my workout tape? And he'd say, no, I don't think so.
You know what, Robert?
There's just so much stuff
I
here.
was thinking, Robert, when I see this Eleanor's workout tape,
Yeah.
the first thing that comes to my head is, did Keith get in trouble?
No, he was never in trouble.
No, of course not.
She's a good lady.
Oh, she was awesome.
She still is. She wished my wife a happy birthday. We're in Mexico. It was so sweet.
Oh, how sweet.
Yeah, just to show you some of the tools and stuff. In here, now here's the bass pedals.
Oh, okay.
The Moog, those are Moog bass pedals. And back here in this cupboard is the original bass I toured with 3. And what was really interesting, I don't play it anymore, but one of the strings broke. And so it's a 3-string bass that I used in the band 3. So I just left it like
Oh,
that.
no way.
Yeah, I don't know why. It meant something to me,
I think it looks great. That's very clever. How was it to do 3 instead of 4?
Well, I didn't play 3 at the time. There's 4 strings. Now, just to bring that full circle, because the tour is coming up, and
Yes.
I bought all kinds of basses. I had to get the right bass for this tour. I bought a guy that used to work for the Grateful Dead.
Oh.
This bass, Michael Dolan. I thought it'd be great. Wasn't great.
Very nice.
This Yamaha bass. Oh, you know what? Michael Anthony used one of these.
We're seeing quite a special collection here.
Well, I'm a kind of a guitar nut. It
Oh,
didn't work.
yeah.
It wasn't right. And I thought, I tried a few other things, and nothing was working. I thought, you know what? I'm going to try the Steinberger, but in a 5-string. They make this. So this is now for the Noto Brothers. This is my bass for the tour. It's a Steinberger like what I used a Steinberger in 1988, but this is the version that's been out the last couple of years anyway. So still graphite, you know, they're really kind of cool, and I'm really excited to have that. Along with, I need to play a few things on guitar on the tour, so I got this graphite guitar.
Beautiful.
Guitar, but look at this.
Look at that.
You unscrew this, and the neck comes off.
Oh my gosh.
It fits in your suitcase.
So look at this.
You just
Undo.
all graphite,
Wow.
and it sounds beautiful. If I played the right chords, it did. It's a great little guitar, and the neck comes off. You believe that?
I can't believe it. But you know what? It makes sense, right?
So, this is all tour stuff. Getting ready. You actually saw the guitars I use every day in the studio here. This, if you want to show some of these, of course, you know, Telecaster, Fender, Paul Reed Smith. The picture that's in the album cover of this Fender.
I recognize it.
Yeah, this is a great custom shop.
Wow.
You know, the bass I use in mini recordings. This Sammy Hagar had this made for me. It has a graphite neck.
Oh, wow. That's a
special
wide
pickups.
neck.
Yeah, that's why I can't use it live. It's too big for the fancy
Yeah,
stuff
I was
we're
just
playing.
going to say, how would
Yeah.
you do that?
And of course, I'm going to get this out of the way because being a huge Chris Squire fan,
Oh, join the club.
yeah,
Yes.
there's
Yes.
a couple guys that I've known that are one of a kind. Keith Emerson is definitely one of a kind.
Yeah.
Chris Squire, one of a kind.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to sign this for me. We, of course, shared the same manager as in England, Brian Lane. And I said,
Chris Squire signed your bass.
he said, I'll sign the pick guard. I said, no, I want you to sign on the wood. I want it to seep in. He goes, that's going to ruin it. I said, I felt like saying,
No.
well, you're Chris Squire. I think that's probably, you know, if I was going to sell it, I mean, make it worth more money, right?
Yes,
no, but
right?
he really begrudgingly signed it on the wood. He didn't want to. He said, I'd never seen one just like mine, and I wasn't sure what he meant, but I believe his started this color, and he refinished it. This has a very small, thin neck, different than the other Rickenbacker basses I have. This one's
Okay.
really special and has this special horseshoe magnet on it. So
Oh, yeah. I noticed that.
very cool.
That is quite a, that's like a, one of those puzzles, you know, where you can just take
Oh,
it
yeah.
apart and it comes back and it's perfect.
Now, one of the things that no one's ever seen, because I started as a keyboard player, is this little Moog down here. And I think people know that my dad had Vox guitars and amplifiers when I was a little guy, and he brought them in, you know, when the Beatles were doing their thing. He shipped them in from England. Then Thomas Organ took over for Vox, and they made the Vox stuff here. And they were so progressive in things that they said, we have to get this Moog for our home organs. But what? And my dad said, you got to listen to this thing. I'm 11 years old, 12 years old. And he was doing trumpets and stuff on it because it would do all these sounds. But Lucky Man was just coming out. I don't even know what year. Do you know what year Lucky Man came out?
I think
78,
Lucky, I wouldn't
76?
know. I was thinking that it was more early, like
Really, yeah.
70, because I
Early
thought
70s.
it came off on the first album.
Well, I got this in a Mellotron, which is what the Moody Blues use for all the violins and stuff. And I could do. I could do these sounds. Now that's not exactly the sound.
Oh,
It is nothing like that existed. You
This
couldn't
is
go
so-
boo. And again, I haven't used it for so long, but I wanted to bring it out to show you.
oh, please.
You could hit the old, it almost doesn't work.
Chris Noto says 1971. 1897.
1971.
19. I can't read it because I don't
Yep,
have my glasses on.
1971. There,
Aha!
well, that's
They-
when I would be playing this instrument, and we played Lucky Man. Of course, my band Hush. Let's see. That we had just started. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
We just started, and we were a progressive rock cover band. So This is a Moog synthesizer you never see because it was just a toy, really, for a home organ. But it had some of the sounds, and through a big amp, it sounded, well, to me, at 12 years old, it sounded like Keith Emerson.
Oh, well, hello.
Well, let's bring
Yes.
it back up here.
Yes. And let's. Whoa! Wow. Do you want to show them your?
This is the Pro Tools stuff.
This is quite a piece of equipment, by the way. I'm going to sit down next to you, and that way I can put the camera on you.
There you go. I keep up to date with everything DigiDesign and Avid does with Pro Tools because they're down the street here. People have heard me talk about this before. You right now are in the middle of Silicon Valley. It's a little town called Campbell. Very small, but it's right in the middle. Half a mile that way is Netflix. I'm trying to think when I'm pointing this way. Half a mile that way is eBay. 2 miles that way is Apple. You know the big spaceship they built? 2 miles away. You can almost see it from here. Everything's here, right? And if you go to Stanford, which is maybe 10 miles away?
Yeah,
like
maybe
you have Sand
15.
Hill Road, where all the venture capitalists.
I know it very well. You go right off of 280.
Yep, and that's where all this startup money comes from. I had a client who came in and said, I'm working on her album. You know, my husband's a venture capitalist. I said, oh, yeah, great. Yeah, I'm working on doing music for her. She, yeah, you know, you ought to get involved in this new thing he's doing. What's that? Well, it's called Pandora. I was like, oh, what's that? Well, it's kind of like a jukebox. You put your music on there, and it'll recommend somebody else that has the same kind of... I said, well, it didn't make sense to me. Oh, great. Yeah.
I know. It didn't make sense. I kept thinking, well, I have my iTunes.
Oh my God, Pandora is huge. I could have been one of the first on there. Would have been recommended to everybody in the world by now.
Yeah.
But you just never know what music's going to do.
No,
Actually,
you don't.
someday soon, they're going to figure out how musicians can make a living playing music again because all these young people are having a hard time.
See, you know what? That's one thing that I'll bet you a lot of people are going to respond to right now is, you know, not getting paid. And I know how hard it is from way back in, you know, 1969, 1970 when I started messing around with guitars and this sort of thing. I realized very quickly that everything costs money. Everything. Whether you want a pick, whether you want a amp, it's going to cost you.
All this was free. It didn't cost me anything.
Where's your wife?
A musician is the wife with a good job. Right?
All right.
Well, you know, yeah, I mean, just to open the studio, the board is $65,000. Now, this board here, it makes no sound. It just controls Pro Tools.
Right.
My version of Pro Tools, everything I have is about $35,000. Which
Okay.
next to, you see the old tuner's machine here,
Yeah.
that was $35,000 all by itself. And it doesn't do anything but record. You didn't have a board, you didn't have anything. So, in one way, it's gotten cheaper to buy this equipment. In another way, having your foot up in the business, you can still make a living in it, you can do things. Somebody knew that they always say, well, you got to sell T-shirts, you have to sell any kind of merch, you know, nose rings, whatever it is. It's kind of too bad. It'd be nice. In fact, that's one of the things that Keith told me when I called him about this, and we were talking about this album. And he said, you know, no one cares anymore. And I said, well, this company cares. And I said, well, you know, let me call them and see what kind of money. And so I called him back, and I said, Keith, they want this album. They've offered you this much money and me this much money. He goes, who has that kind of money anymore, right? Even Keith Emerson, even the top of the mountain, wasn't getting the type of money that he deserved for being one of a kind, a hero to us musicians in so many ways, for being just so talented. And it was hard for me to understand. A lot of times I'd say, you know, you're Keith Emerson, right? I mean, I'd say that to him.
No
and it didn't
doubt.
affect him at all.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Well, you know, I have a question from Chris.
Okay.
He'd like to see the Rocky.
The what?
The Rocky? R-O-C-K-Y. I'm going to turn the camera.
Oh, the Ricky.
Oh, Ricky? Oh, my gosh. I do not have my glasses on. Oh, dear me.
I brought it out, but I'll bring it out again.
Okay.
Hold on.
Sorry, Chris.
Now,
Okay.
for Chris, look at how thin that neck is there. Because a lot of them, see this width right here.
Mm.
You know, and of course it has beautiful inlays and stuff.
Oh, I love it.
I believe it's a speck narrower this way, but it's definitely a bunch narrower this way than my 71, the blonde one that I have. And
how nice that is.
of course, he's going to like this split pickup too, because they stopped doing this, I think, in 71. My blonde one does not have this horseshoe, and this is metal. The new one has a plastic thing on it.
What's the difference, if you don't mind?
You know, Rickenbacker made these for their old lap steels and stuff, so I think the difference was that they just had these around and put on the base. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
It's a very weak pickup, and I've never had it rewound because I didn't want to touch it. I wanted to leave it just the way it was.
Yeah.
So the new ones also didn't have what they call, I think, toaster, they call these or something. Is that right, Chris? Is it a toaster pickup? They had the pole pieces.
For Chris.
But,
come on, Chris. Where are you?
yeah, a transition model would have had the split down here on the tailpiece, but then I think in 71, maybe they stopped doing that too. There was a time they stopped doing this for 6 months, and they stopped doing this, and everything was solid.
Okay.
So this one's really different.
That is different. Look at how thin though.
Yeah, it is thin.
It really is. My goodness, it makes it real easy to move.
This
easier.
is super easy to play.
Yeah, right.
And of course, I'm a McCartney fan too, so McCartney used this.
Ah.
And I actually have flat wound strings on this,
Okay.
which makes it more of a McCartney sound than a Chris Squire sound. Because what I use for my Chris Squire sound is a Steinberger.
Oh, Steinberger.
What I had mentioned to you before, when I'm doing, like Chris will know Roundabout, that I did. I think it's in here.
Okay, and Chris Noto is asking, Robert, no Toronto date? Are you going to add a show in Toronto?
I don't think we're going to get there. We are having 2 shows in Canada, and they weren't easy to get, Chris, is the problem. There's so many people out on tour, and honestly, this is my first time on my own name, going out there, and there's no touring history whatsoever for Robert Berry or 3.2. So the guys that know Keith Carl, Asia, and a lot of, Steve Howe, the guys I played with that are deep into it, they say, oh yeah, that guy in the Magna Carta stuff. A lot of people know that tribute series Magna Carta did. They say, oh yeah, we got to have him. We got to put him in here. I'm trying to keep the places small too. I want to get out there. I want to meet you and shake your hand. I don't want to be in a 2,500 seat theater where 20 people get marched to the back. Oh, the meet and greet. No, I'm gonna come out and sit in your lap.
I love
kidding. Well, not Dyanne. I'll sit in your lap. Chris's lap, I'm not gonna sit on.
it. No, I'll sit in your lap
there you
and
go.
we'll be
There you
all
go.
good.
But we've had a little bit of a hard time this year with some of the places that don't really get the PROG history and the things involved.
Yeah.
Like Cruise to the Edge. I thought, oh, that's a shoo-in, right? I played in the band with Steve Howe, played with Pete and Carl, Chris Squire, same manager. I was all involved in that. Couldn't get on Cruise to the Edge. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
I thought I deserved to be there. Not in a bragging kind of way, but it's all about yes and all the people involved in that. I thought, well, that sounds like a perfect place for me to do my roundabout thing. Anyway, this was what I did roundabout on. This is fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
It's a Steinberger, and
oh, look at that. I like the end
there's
there.
no tuners up here.
No tuners. So how do
this-
you tune this?
Well, someone like you that doesn't know guitars as much, right? There's a ball in at this end. No, seriously, and there's a ball in at this end.
Yeah.
And you drop it in, and you turn these, and it tunes it.
I'll be
You can break a
doggone.
string on stage and tune it and put a new string on while you're singing.
Ooh. Ooh, I like that.
You'll see a bunch of Steinbergers.
Look at how beautiful this collection just goes on and on.
Yeah, well, there's 130 guitars here somewhere. And the police station is half a block away.
Thank you.
I don't worry.
Well, I know this area.
Bunch in here.
I know this area too. You're pretty.
Oh, this is wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky to be here in Campbell. Campbell was the last place sort of developed in Silicon Valley. And it was just an old town. Like Campbell Avenue's half a block over. There was no reason to even go down there.
Mm-hmm.
All the clubs, I built the studio here because all the nightclubs are here.
Yeah.
Joe Cocker, Pat Bennett, everybody would play Bodega, Smoky Mountain, two other clubs on this side of the street. They were everywhere here. And then the drinking laws changed. And the attitude changed to having all restaurants. And 10 years ago, we started restaurants. And now you can't even walk down the street. There's so many restaurants, which is fine.
That's fine.
But not good for music.
But not good for music. No.
California, you know, I'm only doing 5 shows on the West Coast because the high-tech thing has really made California a tough place to get people to come out and go to shows.
It's surprising to me. Let's relax. It's surprising to me, Robert, because Silicon Valley has so many people, so many young people, but so many people that have been part of the development and here before, like myself. I was here before Silicon Valley even, took the shovel to the ground, right?
Yeah.
But, well, I do have something here. Let's see.
The problem is that people are working 10-hour days here. They don't want to cook at home. They want to eat out, so they go out, they have a drink, they want to talk. They don't especially want to go see a band. And even the discos aren't as big as they were. You know, it used to be, everybody wants a disco instead of a band. Well, it's not so much that anymore. People do go out to dance clubs, but they're just kind of beat up.
But you know, I do like those small venues when you used to only be able to see your bands in big places where you're bringing binoculars, you know, and now there are venues where you can have a meal and sit at a table, and you can pretty much pick if you want to be in the up front next to the stage, or do you want to be back? Of course, But
that's what we're doing. You know, it's funny. I learned so much from Carl when I was playing with him because he's just a dynamo. He just not just as a great drummer, but as a guy with business sense and the energy, keep going.
Yeah.
And push it. If you see him play drums in the last year, he's probably even better, more energetic. He hasn't lost anything, right? From 33, 32 years ago. It's like, whoa, how does that happen? You know, it's really great.
Yeah.
But he came out, first time I saw the ELP Legacy thing he had, and this was, I believe, even Simon, a different guitar player and a different bass player. I saw him in a little Club Nord or something in San Francisco. It held like 100 people. I'm like, what? Carl's plays a little place. He goes,
Simon.
I
know
wow.
who Simon is.
And I'm like, wow, look at this. He's playing to people that really love him, want to see him, and he can get up close. And he's still doing that. He's not playing me with the Yes To or some bigger places, but he's still playing smaller places. That's Carl Palmer, you know?
Well, you know, Carl Palmer and Yes are playing together.
Oh, yeah.
With Paul and... But Paul, not Simon.
Right.
Yeah.
I've seen them many times now. They blow me away. They're so good.
Aren't they, though? Aren't they? They really are. Chris Noto says, cheers, mate.
You know, get rid of that guy. He's taking up all the screen time.
Let's see. Who else do I have?
Yeah, he's a good
I've
guy.
got a lot of guys that are watching. I'm looking down here to see Chris Noto.
She laughs, but she doesn't read them. You know,
I know, right? Let's see. I've got Robert. Let me see. Robert. Oh, sorry, Robert. Schlinder. I'm not saying it even close.
My point was, even when 3 was together, it was Carl's idea because, you know, Keith had done Emerson, Lake and Powell, and it didn't go too well. They had a great song on the radio. They did well with that. And 3 had a top 10 song, number 9. It was doing really well.
Well,
And they said, we don't want to do what Emerson, Lake and Powell did. We're not going to fill even 7,000 seat arenas kind of things. Let's go into smaller places. We played like 1,000 to 2,500 seat places. That was small for them at the time. But that was Carl's idea, and Brian Lane, our manager. Let's get close, and these people got to see. I mean, we played one place, I think it was 700 people. It was really close up. And they're seeing Keith Emerson throw the organ on his back right there into their chair almost, you know? And Carl doing a solo and sweating on him. It was amazing. And Carl's doing it again with his ELP legacy most of the time.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I've learned so much from Carl. He's doing it for a reason. He's doing it because the people that really love the music, really want to be there, they want to see you. They want to meet you. They don't want to just be in a 10,000 seat auditorium with you way in the back. Not now.
No,
Not these
you know,
days.
we don't. We don't. We have been there.
Yeah.
And we've been there during
The heyday.
yeah,
Yeah.
right? And now we want to interact.
Yeah.
And that's why I think Facebook allowed all these groups of music to start forming themselves, because it gives us an opportunity to go back, look at people like Robert Berry, ELP, and so on, and all the others, and go, you know what? This is going to be great. I'm going to be able to go to a venue that's only going to hold a few hundred people.
That's right.
And if I want to get a front row seat, it's not going to break my bank.
I just saw Paul McCartney.
Ooh, nice.
It was here in San Jose.
Mm-hmm.
There must have been 20,000 people there, and I was 10 rows from the back. Tickets cost me $400 a piece. And up front was $3,000 a piece. But,
Ooh.
you know, I'm looking at these huge screens. I'm back there, and I said, you know, I probably, even halfway back, it wouldn't be any better. The sound was perfect. Even in the back, Paul's not going to let anything slip by. It was perfect. The band was great. It was really a fantastic show, but it had the big screen. I said, it wouldn't have been any better halfway up. And I'm thinking, well, that's a lousy attitude. I actually want to see Paul and I want to be up close, you know, but you can't. And I've
And
seen him
without
do
the
it.
money.
You know, he's done it well. Even I have a friend that paid, oh my God, I think it was $10,000 each for him and his son to have a meet and greet where Paul played 8 songs on acoustic guitar.
Oh
There was 80
my
people in a room with Paul McCartney because they wanted to
goodness.
see him up close, you know, and I mean, which is great if you can afford it, but that's, you know, crazy,
Wow.
crazy money, and things are really they're changing a lot in the music world. We have to figure out how to monetize people's albums. My son's 24; he's trying to make a career in music.
Wonderful. What does he play?
You know, he plays keyboards. He's, you know, doing more of the hip hop kind of, you know, song stuff, Bruno Mars and all that. And he's good. He plays drums and keyboards. Didn't pick up the guitar. He can strum a ukulele. That's it.
He's kind of like his dad in a lot of
He is,
ways.
except for he doesn't have a wife with a good job.
Ah!
He's still
Well,
single. You
he's
have to
gonna-
learn the lesson.
Yes, he is going to have to learn the lesson. Absolutely.
Rebecca's
Now-
a second grade teacher, so I mean, she has a wonderful job, but I don't want people to think that she's paying for the studio here. That's not the case. I just like to give her a bad time.
Well, let's see if I have any other questions other than Chris Noto.
Well, let me show you something. Bring that phone in here. Let's take
Sure.
it to the studio. Make sure
And
you don't
sorry,
fall off
people.
this here.
Yes, and sorry, people, if things move around a little bit, but we're actually not being able to mount this to anything so that we can show you around.
DW drum set. It's the
Oh,
studio kit that I have, but it's what I use in all the recordings. And
Oh, it's beautiful.
it's a beautiful, it's a great drum kit. And David Lauser, Sammy Hagar's drummer, is a DW endorser, got me this kit. And
Let's
it's,
see. Let's see
you
the
know, the
whole
cymbals are
thing.
stacked around now because I've been gone a little bit. But
Let's see.
everything you hear on 3.2 was done on this drum set. And basically just about everything else I've done too.
And you got your headset?
Yeah, and that headphone. Well, you got to play something.
Yeah.
I want you to sneak in here and show people this piece of paper on the wall here.
Okay. This piece of paper.
That is Carl Palmer's first set list for our rehearsal here before we went on tour. Desi Laditas first, change. He has the machine, whatever that means, whatever machine he was using for the sound effects. Lover to Lovers on there. Talking About in the middle. Oh, did I just make it? There we go. On my way, the keyboard solo that Keith did. On my way home out of that. Standing in the Shadows of Love. I think Running was Runaway. And Standing in the Shadow, 8 Miles High, Rondo, and then Fanfare. And what's cute at the very bottom, it says stick off. He had that rhythm stick where he and I would go to the front of the stage. It looked like a guitar, but he'd bang on it. It was actually drum pads.
Yeah.
It looked like a guitar. And, he would take and bang that thing, then he'd bang my bass, and I'd bang his drum pads. But it says stick off. So at the end, evidently, he needed to turn that off or it would make sound. So
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah, and this is just, there's a bunch of junk. I collect Vox stuff, so my dad had the Vox room. You see a lot of Vox amps and Marshalls and stuff in here. I'm running out of room.
Wow, you really are. You really are. You have a lot of wonderful things.
They're all...
Oh, my goodness.
At one time, they're all used for something. I'm not really just a collector.
Oh, sure.
I do sound-alikes and stuff. I used to do them for Miramax Films. Did them for Paramount. Yeah, they have a nice...
You use your green screen so that you can make videos?
Yeah, when they want photos even, whatever. It makes it easy for them to take the background out. Although now, with the phone, the way it is, you just have an app and boom, the background's gone, right? So.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and there's mirrors all behind the curtain here. If I want it really bright, I can get rid of that. There's many, many guitars behind that curtain. Nobody knows that, but they know it now.
Everybody knows now.
It looks like a music store behind that curtain there. All the vocals, watch out again for this.
Okay.
All vocals are done in this room here.
Okay.
And depending on
I just want to make sure I'm...
what mic and stuff, this is a U47
Oh, okay.
here. This is a great microphone. And they've been doing things, like I said, Jeff Goldblum was in, they were doing some narration. They might have used this for the narration, I'm not sure. This SM7. A lot of people have that. Everything's out. It's almost like they tried everything. Look at all this. They tried everything on them, right? To see,
funny.
You never know.
You do never know. Look at this.
That's the problem with the music business. It does cost a lot of money. If you're a guitar player, if you have to have a Fender Stratocaster, a good one, you're spending $3,000 for a custom shop Strat or a nice Strat.
Yep.
You have to have like a Marshall amplifier,
The old Marshalls from the 70s.
$3,500, $4,000. So they're, you're almost $10,000 with your wah-wah pedal and your stuff.
Yeah.
And some strings and everything you have to do.
Yeah.
And you can make $150 a gig. Takes a lot of gigs to make up $10,000
Yes,
of
it
equipment.
does. And all that running around with the equipment.
Oh yeah, the gas for the car. They say, double doors. You got to be careful.
Yep, I'm being careful. I'm making sure.
Well, they spend $10,000 on equipment and $5,000 on a car or $10,000 on a car to make $150, right? That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the way it was back then when we were doing garage bands.
Yeah.
It's the same story. It's like we had probably 2 or 3 pages of stuff we wanted to buy.
Sure.
What could we buy?
Yeah.
Your basics, drum set, guitar.
Well, the difference was, like when Hush started, and I'm trying to think, 71 seems too soon for that, so maybe Lucky Man had been out for a while. I think Hush started in 74, 75.
Yeah, I really think that Lucky Man came out with the first album because they were looking for something to finish it. So
so we would have played it 5 years later on the little Moog that Tom
Sure,
Sawyer put out.
sure.
But my band Hush would play here in Campbell, 2 clubs we played all the time. And we played quite a bit. We were a really popular local band, playing progressive, people dancing around about. Hello, really? Okay.
Oh, wow.
Dancing to Watchers of the Sky by Jen said, really?
My
but
gosh.
we would make $400 each with the road crew and everybody was in band, and so every month there was $3,000 maybe from the band income. Well, the bass player had his own apartment, car payment, $8. It was fine. He could do that. His apartment, I think, cost him $300 a month. 1975.
Now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, unfortunately, a one-bedroom apartment here is $3,000, maybe $3,300.
Yeah, and that's, again, the Silicon Valley, everything is beyond what it should cost.
Yeah.
You look at an apartment and you're thinking, 900, maybe 1,000.
Yeah.
And then you go to, 3,300 for a one bedroom.
Yeah.
It starts to look like they're not only taking advantage of people that have to work here, they know there's no housing.
And they're building all the time. They just built like 1,000 new condos here on the other side of the railroad tracks in Campbell.
And guess what? I'm going to get in trouble. Okay, I'm going to get in trouble, but I'm going to say it anyway. The developers are not doing anything to ease the traffic
Right.
because they're putting. You figure if they put in 1,000 condos, and you have just a couple in each one of them, each couple most likely is going to drive 2 cars. Now, let's take 1,000, let's times it by 2. Now we got 2,000 cars added to a road that no
That nothing's
developer
changed.
did anything about, although they do promise.
Well, luckily for this one, it's right next to light rail. But light rail here in Silicon Valley doesn't do that well.
No, it doesn't.
they
Are
don't
you
check
talking
it.
about like the BART or
Well,
something
it's like
goes through the BART? Yeah.
It's called the I forget what it's called. I don't use it
Well,
because I drive. Like
I'm
everybody else, right?
I'm gonna. Oh my gosh!
You can
look
see
at
some of the
this.
guitars here that I've got. I have one in there. Eddie Van Halen signed for me on the wood. That before he's made, he's his signature. I just have pictures out here. Of course, Sammy signed it the same way on the wood.
Yeah.
You can't see the one up top there. That's Tom Scholes. He signed one for me. My friend Gary, who was in Alliance, plays in Boston. Of course, Greg Ken, of course. I have his guitar here.
Oh wow!
But I got one like his to sign. That's Amy Lee from Evanescence. I just love Evanescence, and a friend of mine's
wonderful.
nephew manages them. So that's Steve Miller.
Steve
And
Miller.
You can see on that picture he's taken. Look at all that artwork he did. I asked him to sign a guitar. Yeah, send it to me, because he has this. He sent me pictures of him doing the artwork on there and everything. I thought that is incredible. Look what he did.
Yeah, do I have it?
Really
with you?
something.
It is small, huh?
Yeah. That's a Fender Stratocaster. I think I have another one back here. It could be the Chris Squire. No, it's a Steve Howe Strat.
Steve
Yeah,
Howe.
you don't need to take pictures of all these, but there's Steve. He gave me a Strat when I played him in GTR, and there's a Chris Squire bass, which you've seen up close.
Yes. Haven't hold it yet, but
that's the vocal booth. You're already in there.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a very cool feeling too. By the way.
Yeah, so this is,
Look at
when Keith was recording here, he used
Oh, my
my
goodness.
Hammond, my B3. He broke some keys because he played so damn hard. I had to have fixed.
Oh my gosh!
And you see, there's even a little thing in there where he broke,
Oh!
snapped it, and it could be. And this is so old, I'm looking.
No, tell me the truth. It was a knife.
No.
Was it
no.
a butter knife? Was it a steak
No, he
knife?
was doing some thing, and
Jeez!
these keys they can break. They're plastic.
Oh, I
and it
got
kind of
you.
came off, and that one.
He put a hole in it. That's so cute. Oh my goodness sakes! Look at that. Looks like he's been around it too.
Well-
Sure, he hasn't been jumping on it.
I started as a keyboard player, so this was my Hammond B3 that I used on the road.
Oh,
So that's why
okay.
it's so beat up, because I had a clavinet, a Hohner clavinet on there, and like with the Mellotron and the Moog. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was a Keith Emerson fan, Rick Wakeman fan. I mean, I wanted to play that stuff, That little toy Moog in there, that was nothing. I have the memory Moog in there that's the real deal. That's what I used. And then I love it all. You know, I can't help it. I love all the instruments. I love every day I come in, there's somebody in here that has written a song. It's like their baby, right? And we birthed their child. Wow. And I get, you know, mainly I've done my business by, I play a lot of instruments, and you don't have to be a virtuoso on an instrument to play the right thing for a song. You know, like Lucky Man is very easy. Even
Yeah.
a Moog solo, very easy.
Sure,
and it's
sure,
just
sure.
perfect, right?
Yeah.
That is intelligent musicians playing the right stuff.
Yeah.
You know? And people come in, and that's sort of my expertise. I figure out who they are. You know, if they think they're Ozzy Osbourne and they really Sheryl Crow, I get to the bottom of it, you know. And
Let's really see where you're at, okay?
we start with that, and then we take their song, and then we listen to it, and if there's any places I think they don't stay on point with their lyrics or whatever, a chord could do something, I give them a suggestion. They could take it or leave it. I said, look, my experience is vast on all these guys. This is what I do. Here you go. You can use that or not. We can leave it just the way it is. I will still make it good for you. You know, and they play their instrument, if it's guitar and singing, or piano and singing, bass and singing, whatever they do their part, and I do the rest of it, and I make what I consider the perfect foundation for that song, for the vocal to sit on. And that's, I mean, you birth their child every day.
Wow.
It's a lot of fun.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's really
It's a
good.
beautiful piano, too.
That is a Yamaha C7. Now, we took a Yamaha C7 on tour with 3.
Oh,
And-
did you? It's beautiful.
It came back, everything, the Moog, everything came back here. Everything was in here rehearsal-wise, you know.
Uh-huh.
And after the tour, it all came back here. And Keith says, you gotta buy that piano. It would only be like $10,000. It's a $40,000 piano. I said, I had a Baldwin concert grand, and it wasn't that good. Or it was okay, but it wasn't this, you know. I said, no, 10,000, I can't afford that, you know. I'll wait. And sure enough, you know, 15 years later, I need to buy a Yamaha C7 because it's the best studio piano. I mean, he knew. Of course he knew.
Of course
You
he
know,
did.
I just couldn't afford it. I thought I could have had it for $10,000, the one we used on tour even, you know. And unfortunately,
It's beautiful.
I had to buy one after that from a dealer. But
That's okay.
It's a great
That's all
piano,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. You do have what he recommended.
the Emerson recommended. He also went to my dad's piano store at the time. We were rehearsing and signed a bunch of chord pianos for my dad.
Really?
I think he signed 10 of them, and they went like that.
Oh my gosh, I
And
can
he thought it
imagine.
was so great that my dad had a piano store.
Hmm.
And of course that he sold English guitar amps earlier on
Mm-hmm.
in the 70s, you know, the rock stuff. In fact, the one in here, again, be careful
Yep.
when you walk there, but this one in here is kind of a,
Yeah, we've got these little steps we got to be aware of. What you got?
the Vox
What is
Super
this?
Beetle.
The
Right?
Vox.
And this is English. This isn't the American one. This is the English one.
I've heard of this
Mm.
somewhere.
Yeah, there. And of course, the Beatles picture. My dad had a bunch of these that they sent him, and
Oh,
he
look
just
at
had rolls of them, and they kind of got torn and everything. I mean, he gave away a bunch of them, but it's like they were just free for anybody who walked in the store at the time.
Oh, you got it.
I was a big Beatles fan mainly because of the sound of their music.
And
got me
the
into
music was
production.
easy to play. It was singing. It was easy to play.
It was.
They were real. Melody was just easy.
yeah.
They were short.
They had these tones, though. In fact, you can see what I have in here too to prove it.
I'm catching up.
This
I know.
is the Hofner bass,
Ooh.
and one of the reasons the Beatles' music still sounds so good today is the Hofner bass is super deep and doesn't really sustain. It kind of goes boom, boom. So you can have it really deep, and it doesn't ring out very long, so it doesn't muddy up a recording, right?
Yeah.
And then, so you start with the bass being super deep, then you go to a jangly 12-string and Rickenbacker, which is kind of, well, I won't say tinny, but it's very bright,
Yes.
so it doesn't get muddy in the vocals and stuff.
Yes.
And then you put those great drum sounds where they put the tea towels on the toms and sort of muffled the drums a bit, made them deep.
Mm-hmm.
And you have music that is so much more tonally like music today. Bright, deep, and not muddy, just really powerful, you know. So the Beatles stand the test of time with those instruments.
Oh,
And I think
yeah.
at the time they got them because they were cheap. The Hawthorne bass was cheap. You couldn't really get a Fender over there because they had some kind of, what was I reading? Like they were doing like what we're doing with China right now.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
They didn't want American basses and stuff over there because their economy was bad. They wanted people to
Okay.
buy
All right.
English stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So
I remember a lot of people back in that day, that period of time when English, instruments and whatnot were really hot. You know, I think I've got some questions we need to catch up on.
Well,
People have been busy, but let's just see. Let's just go through them together.
Okay.
We're going to switch the camera back over to us, and we're going to look here. Let's get Robert.
So Philip is watching. Okay. Salute from Chris, Arizona. Watching what? Okay. Watching. Well, this is all good.
Oh, this is all
Okay,
good.
no Toronto. Oh, Chris, boy, that Chris, I tell you, Chris. I'm going to have to come over to the house, Chris. That's all there is to it.
What's he want to
And
say?
Dave is watching. That's cool. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh, there's another good name. I want to see. What is that? Let's see. Massa Miliano?
Oh, yeah, right.
Oh, that's a good. It got some good name.
They got some
Robert
great
Schindler.
names in here.
Him.
Yeah. Let me see.
Let's see the Ricky. We've already been through that for
Oh,
Chris. He
I
saw that. Colleen is watching.
Lots of little kisses there.
Yeah, that's nice.
And everybody's watching here.
Oh, yeah.
And
Chris is 1971. That's Lucky Man. I remember that. Yeah.
yeah. Oops. And hey, man.
David Fernie could spend hours in it. Yeah, I bet. I tell you, there's things in the corners of this place. I've put this box away, and it had all this 3 stuff and all that I didn't even remember I had. They were the original record contracts. It was right back here, and since I was gone and Jeff, what's his last name? Anyway, I said Goldberg or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Was coming in, so I was like, clean it up, put things away. And I can't find it now, but I had the original record contract, the publishing contract, notes from Brian Lane. I don't have the note from Steve Howe up here, but I have one from Ian Anderson, and from Herbie Herbert was my manager. I think everybody knows for a while, Journey's manager, a note from him. And I had this box. Before you got here, I was looking for it. Where did I put it? I can't find it. There's so much stuff. You saw the cassette tapes up there. There's a bag. I got to show you this too. Look. And I'm not going to show you this yet. But
Okay. Wait a minute. I'm switching camera
there's
record on.
a different version of the Talking About video. It was kind of funny. And I didn't take offense. And I don't have a problem ego-wise and stuff. People say, "Oh, how do you feel always playing in the shadow?" Everybody else, the shadow.
The shadow.
With these guys. What do you mean?
I don't know where they come up with this
Oh,
stuff.
I don't mind. I say they were my heroes. What do you? Even Keith, I've said this before. When I first had lunch with him, said, "Well, I got to ask you one question." He said, "Would you mind if we toured, if we did a couple ELP songs?" Yeah, no. We're gonna play my songs. Okay,
No
I said,
problem.
"Of course not." I mean, my God, I'd be honored. Plus, that's your legacy. I have no problem with any of it. I just want it to be great entertainment and great music moving forward. These
Absolutely.
are, here's another Desi La Vida mix from The Chance, Poughkeepsie. That was our first show. I don't know what some of these are, but they're all. Here's KOME. This is the local radio station that broadcast us. I throw them in bags. I have stuff everywhere.
Do you happen to have stuff from KLIV?
I have a tape on KLIV where Hush did a live broadcast for their Halloween party or something, and they asked
Bet
us.
I was listening to it.
They asked us to do this and broadcast live, and they didn't know how to do it. So I put a soundboard in the back of a van, and they wired it to the phone line. And our sound man mixed in a van outside of the place.
Wow.
And it sounds really good. Someday I'll put that on my website.
Oh, that sounds great. Hey, we've got something from Dave.
David Fernie. He said he could spend hours in here, yeah.
Yeah, I could.
And let's see if there's a couple more down here. Hey, man.
Oh, yeah, that's Chris, but there's a lot of them up here.
So I want to show the people something here, too, that you brought me.
All right.
And I'm going to show them what I have holding.
You're going to show them that.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Look at how beautiful this is. Dyanne brought me these. I was blown away. That is, and from musician, the ultimate holder for what I consider my ultimate 3 in Keith Emerson possession, which I'm going to show you now. This red book Keith put together for himself and for me for the tour, and Paul Keller got one too. This is all our songs in his own pen, and he wrote everything. And there'll be some. I'm going to have these on tour. I'm going to print a bunch of these. In you see up here it says D50. That's a synthesizer. Matrix. I think he had a Matrix 16 or something. That says 06, but maybe that's a setting. The Korg 8000. Another thing. The Pagiator was on. I mean, all these things. The sample. The DSS-1 was the Korg sampler. So I'm even seeing things. I don't look at it that closely sometimes, but.
Now this is all Keith.
This, and look at this here. I'll hold it back a little bit so you can see more. Every note that he played, every note on the recordings.
My goodness.
It is. I mean, look at how complex some of this stuff is.
That's what I was just going to say. It is so complex.
And then it goes to the DSS sampler here. Oh my God.
How is it for you to look at Keith's ideas and his writings and go, yeah, I can easily do that, or is it more like, thank you, Keith, I got some work ahead of me?
What really blew me away is we had to have really a separate 24-track machine. We had 2 24 tracks, which is what this is here. The recorder. In the old days, 1987. You had 24 channels to record on. There wasn't no digital recording. So we put the drums, the bass, and some keyboards and vocals, and then Keith had a lot more stuff he wanted to do. So we put another 24-track machine and synchronized them together. And he had all these layered tracks, all this sound. What I considered the first time he had ever really done a soundscape like that. It was so amazing and so colorful, let's say. And then he played it all live, and I could never figure out how he did that. It sounded just like the record. Everything he played on all those tracks was there. It's amazing. And of course, what he played was also here.
Yeah, that book is
It's interesting on Do or Don't. I don't know if I can read this quick enough to get it to you, but the solo used to be in the same key as the song. And we're in the rehearsal room and in his barn at home. And he said, I think we should just jump the solo up to this. There's a completely different key. I went, it was uncomfortable for me. I'd written the song, and I thought, well, I'm used to singing here. I said, I don't know, Keith. He goes, just trust me. I said, oh, of course. I mean, I'm not going to fight you on it.
Oh, no.
And if that's not my favorite part of that song now, it just opens up like the sky opens up there.
Keith knows.
Oh, yeah. Just amazing. And, of course, these little things that he has in here, they're so complex. And just really...
Wowee.
I talked about this a couple weeks ago, and I felt kind of funny about it after I'd said it, but, part of when you're working with genius, which Keith Emerson is, Steve Howe is, I got to work with some more geniuses, You have to help protect that genius, too. You have to nurture it. You have to say, this is unworldly. This thing that this man has, and you have to learn. I don't know if it's learn or just be a part of write it. Help it move ahead. And I feel funny about that Keith moved to the U.S. I really have felt for a long time, and the reason I feel funny because Keith loved it here at Soundtech. I mean, he started his first solo album after 3 here with Kevin Gilbert, another great guy, friend of mine that worked down the street at a different studio. Met him one day here, we were rehearsing, but he liked it. Or he liked boating, he liked everything, motorcycle, all the stuff, and he loved California and everything about it. Unfortunately, because I don't think, just like with high tech, that we know how to treat music except for flavor of the day, and we certainly don't know how to treat geniuses like royalty. I felt bad about saying it, but you see, you know what you're understanding more than what my words are conveying.
No,
right?
I completely understand and agree. Our manners, I think, are sloppy in the U.S. compared to the U.K. And, I even heard last Christmas, just an idea, that, over here in the U.S., people are getting shot, lines are being trampled, people are grabbing toys and items out of other people's hands.
I had their mailboxes. Now, I do want to say, one of the reasons I felt bad after I said that, because I didn't mean the fans. And so that's why I didn't say that till now. Because there's places people out there going, well, I thought he was a genius. I didn't just put him on a pedestal. Yeah, we know how to accept it, love it, digest it, whatever it was. But the business here, the record companies, the managers, even the tech people, there's just something about Europe that in all kinds of ways, even painters and stuff, right? There's something where they're cherished more, kept on the pedestal, treated like the king and the queen that they are.
Nice.
And I mean, this really has no bearing on anything. It's just something I felt really strongly during the last year. I've been doing, I think I told you, I'm down to about 5 interviews a week now, but the album's been out almost a year. Next month it'll be a year. I was doing 10 a week for 7, 8 months, all over the world, And as I did that and talked a lot about Keith and a lot about our process and everything, what I started to feel this, wow, and I was back there rehearsing in the barn and working with him and Carl and, driving down the road with Steve Howe, and England's so small, you just see another famous musician drive by, or we'd be in here, and we were in rehearsing next to Trent D'Arby doing Wishing. Wishing well. And it was driving us crazy because of a and he rehearsed the same song
Coffee.
3-4 days. Yes, exactly.
Perking, right?
And Keith started making fun of it. He's played with we had the GX1 in the rehearsal room. He got the vibrato. And Terrence D'Arby walks in and Keith went.
Now it's coffee with a little.
Yeah, but they were there. They were everywhere.
Yeah.
And I just felt differently over there with the way they let things sort of develop and become what it's going to become. And I think that if Keith would have been back there, the king that he was, things would have been different. He would have felt. Anyway, I shouldn't dwell on it too much.
No. But you know what? It's okay to talk about it, because I think there are people that want to talk about it, or maybe even want to ask a question about it or comment about it, because it's something that it's always been in my heart, and I know we're supposed to move on, but I've had trouble. I mean, there are those people that, want to hear a little bit about, the fact that we have lost one of the greatest keyboard players in the world.
But the one that all the other great keyboard players really respect. that says a lot right there.
Oh man, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, it's and for me especially, since we were working together on this, and it's the last thing he helped create and then had so much involvement in. doing interviews, it's still the things I show you. You know,
Yeah.
just an old Korg organ that he helped develop, Korg develop, and the demo. I think he's still alive in my work.
Oh,
You know,
he is
it's
definitely
crazy.
alive around me. In fact, as you see,
Yeah, that's fine.
I can't not.
And so many people, they cherish the recordings, everything about them, and there's a lot of, tribute things going on and stuff. I mean, people
It's
are.
just great. It's just
Yeah.
really great. There's going to be, hopefully, it's still not set in stone, but they're working on it. Over in the UK, there's going to be a convention and a recreation of the Isle of Wight. Do you know about?
Next October,
Yes.
and they've asked me to come.
Oh,
And,
yes.
Because of this tour, what it's doing this October, I can't tell them yet. I want to.
Okay,
because,
well, that's
you know,
okay. We'll get that
One of
announcement.
the things that I felt would have been super appropriate at the one that was done in LA was for me to be there, since we had a top 10 song, and do On My Way Home.
Oh,
Which was a
yeah,
song that,
sure.
Keith wrote, and I had written lyrics for him, and because it was about his manager that had died, I gave him the lyrics, and he said,
Are you talking
you
about
don't
Tony?
want any rights to that? I said, no, this was your music, and you wanted me to write something to honor your friend. This is my gift to you. Because Greg would never do that. And that ain't gonna happen.
Okay.
And I just, it was important to me. I've said this before, and it sounds kind of odd, but I wish now I wouldn't have given him those lyrics, because with him being gone, to have that wonderful song named side by side would be a trophy for me, but I still am happy I did it. The sentiment was important to me at the time. It still is. It's just such a great song, and it means so much.
It is a great song. I really love the song. And of course, Keith writing, the brilliance of what Keith writes.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I think about Keith in this room. I it's almost like I get emotional.
Oh yeah.
I get very emotional. And this is where you two made music. This is where you two said, I don't care about the 70s and the fact that no one wants to remember them, or a small few want to remember them. Everybody else wants to move on to that, those voice contests and things where I want to get up to the top really quick. And, I have such an appreciation for the 70s, for those bands that we talk about today. We talk about Pink Floyd, we talk about ELP, we talk about Yes. Well, they were all riding around in the back of a big long van or bus, and I mean something that was broken down, not anything that was sponsored. And they worked hard. They worked in a garage.
Oh yeah.
They moved from a garage to a room broken down, I'm sure, because I was in one.
They built a band the way a band should be built.
That's
From
exactly.
the ground up, struggling
Yes.
together, kind of just doing whatever. Although the Nice laid the groundwork for ELP, and I didn't know that when I played with Keith and Carl. I had no idea.
I didn't know that till it was just mentioned recently.
Yeah, it was amazing. I went, wow. Greg had a great voice and was a great songwriter. But what they did was really the Nice, right? I mean, that's the Nice, and that was Keith's genius. They brought that to it. And I've always wanted to meet Lee Jackson. I want his bass.
Oh,
I want to
yeah.
buy his box.
Oh.
I see those little clips. And go,
I'll
oh,
bet there's a
bass.
line for that one. I'm looking to see if there's if we have any new posts. Seems to be a lot of stuff here.
Yeah, well, they cover a lot of territory.
Oh,
there's
you
so
know,
much
we
here.
have somebody. Oh, we already did. I'm sorry, we already did that.
We tried an iPad, a computer, and the trusty old iPhone was the way to go. And of course, it's small, so right? Got to get it. All right.
So why don't you talk a little bit about what you have going on right now? I know you're working really hard in the studio. So if you'd like to share, if there's something you can share about what you're doing today, I'll bet you we've got a lot of people that would love to hear about it.
Well, mainly, I have clients all the time that I'm trying to stop doing now because I have to get ready for this tour. I'm playing my 30-year history that started actually with Steve Howe.
That's great.
GTR came before 3, the year before, and that stuff was never played. No one else to blame is a song I want to do, so I've never played it live. It's never been played live. It's
It should be.
it was on my Pilgrimage to a Point album.
Sure.
GTR would have been a great launching pad, and someplace I probably would have stayed if I didn't have problems with the singer. I'll just say, people know, I'm not going to hide it. He just didn't want me singing, didn't really care for me that much, and it's just the way it is. It's okay. But at that age, I said, I know there's something better for me than to not be comfortable giving what I'm giving. Steve Howe and I were getting along great. It was so great.
I'm so glad.
So I left.
That's great.
I left, and Keith Emerson called me, so it's a good thing I left. Because that was like, whoa, okay. That was meant to be, right? But then again, the 3 music hasn't been, Desi La Vida has not been played since 1988. And I know that the ELP fans consider that a great Keith Emerson piece.
Yes.
If they like 3 or not, that doesn't matter. The music was really good. That was a great piece. I'm going to play it. We're going to be talking about, of course, that was our hit. And then I'm going to do this really hard thing, which was the Magna Carta Records tribute series that I did.
Okay.
And we did with Jordan Rudess and Simon Phillips and Mark Wood, Carnival 9. And
Only
I've never played it live.
Only my favorite.
Yeah. And we're doing it. And that's why I'm rehearsing soon. I took my Steinberger bass that I want to play on the tour. I took the neck off since it's graphite. I put both halves in my suitcase.
Oh my gosh,
and customs,
almighty.
Goes through the thing at the airport and you see suitcase stops. Like, what the hell is that? Here's this body and this long baseball bat. They think of this guy, and I'm carrying it on, And so they said, I said, I know.
Excuse me, sir.
The guitar, yeah, sure it is. Right? They take
Right.
it down there and they go, oh, my clothes, underwear, everything has to come out. Right? Okay. And there it is, the body of the guitar and then the neck. And so I'm rehearsed in Cabo. I'm rehearsing here. I have the dates up here. We got so many dates now. We're only doing a few in California, just sort of warm-up dates. But these, Santa Cruz is like an hour, 45 minutes away or so. It's close. We're going to Santa Cruz Catalyst.
Oh, I know
which
that
is a great old
place.
venue.
So
the Fox Theater in Redwood City is where Carl plays. So I really wanted to play. It's not the Fox. It's called Club Fox. There's a big one, Fox Theater, and there's a Club Fox, which is like 225 people. And I saw Carl there last time, a couple years ago. So I said, I want to play where Carl's playing. So we're playing there. Firehouse is a place where my band December People plays in Pleasanton, right down where we used to live, right?
Yes.
Beautiful theater.
You couldn't come 2.5
last year, 2
years earlier, now could you?
Yeah.
I would have had a beautiful seat. Look at that.
That's a wonderful place.
Pleasanton.
The Alva Showroom in LA is very exclusive. It's like 120 seats, and they do special shows there. I said, yes, that's pretty small, We're a full band. They said, no, we want you to do it. And so that was great. So then we're heading to Quebec, Canada, Montreal, Canada. This is
here's the date.
October. This starts the East Coast stuff.
Oh, here. I hope you guys can see this. I don't know. I may have to. Let me try and pull this stuff in a little bit more. So we have the dates.
The LaFaro Center is another cool one. Everybody seems to play there now. And
Which one is it?
It's like these two
Oh,
here
these
doing
two
the
right
Saturday
here.
and Sunday.
Okay.
And he's an artist and just actually painted Jordan Rudis's remote keyboard. A beautiful paint job.
Ooh.
And they have this special venue there, out in the woods somewhere, and music lovers go there. And these are really cool shows. The people that want this, they know the history. And that's really cool for me, that the history is, with Steve Howe, with Keith Emerson, with Ambrosia, New Ambrosia team, with Jordan Rudis, Simon Phillips, all these guys. My history has been to work with people and keep moving forward, basically. More music right now. I'm going to do, what am I going to do next? Well, I'm going to do the tour next. No more recording right now. It's all tour. I have a few clients I'm doing songs for.
Are you going to
really
Saratoga?
one.
Oh, yes. Which
And
one?
we got a bunch of them. My father's place is a great place, New York. This is super important, this PROG stock show.
Oh,
We
yes.
are headlining on the Friday night, opening night. And it's the only place that we're going to do the full-blown big concert, 2,500 seat place. And we're going to do a live DVD there, Blu-ray, whatever it turns out to be, live recording, video and audio of this whole thing, this 30 years of working with great people, this music. So I'm excited about that. And I have not been to PROG Stock before, but they're having Brand X headline on the Saturday, and Saga's headlining on the Sunday. On Saturday, I'm doing a little something special with Rachel Flowers, who you'll be speaking to next. And I'm quite excited about that. So we're going to be doing that. So Friday we headline. Saturday I got this special little deal we're doing. And then we're off to Sellersville in Pennsylvania, which is a place I actually played with Ambrosia. And we're playing there with Brand X.
Oh, really? Brand
It's
X.
going to be a great show.
It will be.
Classical theater. Really cool place. There's also, I'll keep going down these. There's so many of them now.
I love it.
William, New York, Kent Stage, Ohio, the Thursday, Friday, Reggie's, Illinois, Saturday. We got some the ones that are going to be announced are the contracts aren't done yet. That's why they won't let me put what they are.
Oh, gotcha.
My manager, Norman Bedford, also manages Brand X. He's very touchy about things being done right, which I
Yes.
really appreciate.
I would appreciate that too. I would think all the musician groups would love to have the perfect manager.
He is like a dog on a raw piece of meat. It's got to be right.
That's
We're
good.
going to St. Louis, which is a great area. My wife's from Missouri, and so is the keyboard player, Andrew Collier.
Oh, wow.
And I met Andrew in the strangest way. I had no idea he was a keyboard player, but my wife's brother and him were best friends in high school. And you'll see here, this date here is in Farmington, Missouri. That's where they're from, playing the Centene Center. And Andrew came to New York when December People was playing there. And December People is my holiday band with Gary Peel, guitar player from Boston, David Lauser from Sammy Hagar, drummer, Dave Med from the Tubes, and Jack Foster and myself. We have this holiday band where we play morphed Christmas songs and hits, like we do Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven, to The Night Before Christmas. And it fits like a glove. ZZ Top, LaGrange to Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And it fits like a glove, And so he came on the shows. And he was talking to me, and he's a doctor. He goes, I used to play keyboards, and I really want to get back in the business, like a lot of guys would say. And they go, would be any suggestions? I'm like, well, you're a doctor. You seem you're doing pretty well. I go, well, I really want to play again. I go, well, you do everything and anything, but you have to write songs and hopefully sing, But you got to write. You can't just play. There's a lot of good players out there. You have to write, And this guy, in the 5 years since I talked to him, has done everything. He's been in a couple prog bands, has his own Circuline, great band. Been on the prog rock cruise.
Oh, man, nice.
And he can play Carnival 9 like nobody's business.
Stop.
And I said, when I called him, I said, Andrew, I've been listening to you. You're playing. I know you pretty well now from, Ron, my brother-in-law. And I said, I got to ask you. I'm only going to ask one guy, and it's going to be you, because this guy has to be crazy. I'm not sure you're crazy enough to say yes. So being a doctor and all, you're pretty organized. I said, you're a hell of a keyboard player. I need a keyboard player for my tour. He goes, I'd love to do it. I said, so you are crazy, along with everything else. I said, because you realize you have to play Jordan Rudess' stuff, Keith Emerson's stuff, I mean, my stuff, I mean, all of it. You're going to run the gamut of every progressive rock keyboard player that's on the top of the list, because I've been very fortunate to work with a lot of great people.
Yeah, you
He
have.
goes, I'm up for it. I said, I know you are. I've listened to your playing. But the commitment, that's where the crazy part comes in.
That is, but you know what too? An opportunity like that, and if you can play Carnival 9 and other songs. I mean, Carnival 9 comes to my head because I think it's one of the hardest pieces to learn.
And he's doing Jordan Rudess' version, which actually made it even harder.
How can you make it harder, you know?
When you do a tribute to a great act, there's two ways to do it. There's three ways actually. You can totally change it and right?
Yeah.
You lose the beauty of what the guys were and why you're tributing these great guys. You can do it exactly the same, where I go, well, I'd rather listen to Keith do it than hear it exactly the same as somebody else. Or you could do what I do, which is, okay, if Keith was to do this now in the 90s instead of the 70s, he would want it tougher, tougher drum beat, maybe some guitar grunging in there a little bit to make the power of the guitar, and for me to give it more of a groove, something, I'll say danceable, but I don't mean danceable, just something that's got a nice groove to it, right? Kind of heavier.
Yeah.
Heavier on the rhythm.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do. I would make it tougher and groovier, sort of, but pay complete tribute to their writing, melodies, lyrics, the whole thing. And Jordan Rudess was right there. He just did the thing, the Keith thing, and then did his Jordan Rudess thing to make it what he would do now. If Keith was doing it now, it'd be different, right?
Sure.
And Simon Phillips, oh my God, what he did with the drums was just amazing. Same thing. He gave it that toughness, that groove, and it's what would have happened in the 90s next to what happened in the 70s. And it was amazing when I finally got it all done. I went, oh my God, this is so what Keith would love now, right? Because he wasn't involved in this, of course. This was a tribute to him. And all of them are that way. I actually got Steve Howe to play on Roundabout with me at the very end of it. But I have a letter from Steve Howe saying, I love what you did to the bass. I said, really? The bass was Roundabout. I mean, Chris Squire's bass line Roundabout. Oh my God, that made it. And Steve said, you kicked the original All About. Great job. I went, wow. See, that was honoring what they had, what they wrote, how they played, but making it a little funkier, whatever, a little tougher kind of thing.
Sure.
There's a fine line there to honoring and ruining.
Yeah, there really is. And it's so funny when I'm sitting here thinking about you talking about Keith and playing and whatnot. And it cracks me up when I think of Lucky Man. And when the guys were trying to figure out, gee, what song? And they couldn't come up with anything. And Keith had just got his Moog.
Yeah.
Just got it and hadn't even played it yet. So he's all about, I'm going to, futz around with this thing. And he said, tell you what, here's Lucky Man. See what you can do at the ending,
I
right?
heard that Greg did it all by himself. Even the drums were on it. He went in and did a folk song, which he was fantastic at, right?
Yeah.
Played this song, beautiful, what a sound, the guitar, the voice, everything. And then Carl came in and did the drums, and Keith did a solo at the end. And look what it turned out to be. It was meant to be that way, right?
It was meant to be that way, but I remember when the boys came back, when Keith came back, and the boys had already listened to the recording. They said, hey, this is pretty good. He goes, no, he said, I did it one time.
He wants to do it again, I know.
Yeah, he was just playing.
Right.
And Greg was like, no, you got to hear this, right?
Yeah.
So, it's amazing.
Keith played on a song of mine called Wait. And
Wait.
I sent it to him, and I said, I talked to him on the phone, said, I really like to play. Okay, sure, I'll play on that. I said, and I didn't realize how much he hated that. Lucky Man thing. He was okay with it, but he didn't want to do it again. I said, I would love to have the Moog with that tone and that sound, because this song "Wait" is about waiting for people to do things, to make a difference. And we all want to make a difference in the world, but a lot of us say, "Oh, I'd like to make a difference," and we never do anything, right?
Right.
So that's kind of what the song's about on the basic level. And I said, I'd really like to have that old Moog, old kind of solo sound to kind of tie this whole feeling of that was then, and then there's some more stuff that's now, and we need to work now on that. And he did not want to do it, but what he sent me was really, really incredible. And it was kind of the Lucky Man tone and stuff, It was really cool. But I didn't know then, but I felt later on that I kind of insulted him by asking for that. He didn't say anything because he wasn't like that.
Yeah, he wasn't like that. No. He didn't want to be a negative type person at all.
Not the Keith Emerson I knew.
No, and I always thought of him when I see the way he touches somebody in a picture, or just hand on the knee or hand on the arm. It's like a friendly gesture from one band member to the other. Bandmates are sitting there, and he comes down and he just does that. It's like
he was very good to my guitar player friend Paul Keller, who was in Hush, and now was on a new 3.2 tour as the guitar player. He really was so sweet to Paul, and Paul has a great memory. And Keith would go, "Well, he'd play like something. Could you do a harmony of that?" Paul, okay. And Paul would get the harmony going, and okay, let's do it. And Keith would go, "Yeah," because Paul was really good at that stuff. And they got along famously, But I know people even out on tours now that aren't getting along famously, that are well known and have numerous people in their bands and stuff, and treat them like a little bit of second-class citizens. Keith was never like that with anybody. We'd go to eat at the fish place called Steamers here in Las Vegas. People, the owner of the place going, "Keith Emerson, I'm a big fan." He'd come in and go, "Oh, real great, hey, good to meet you,"
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
Now, let's see, there was something that I was going to ask you about. Now,
keep an eye on this,
I know, right?
I don't trust you for a second with this manuscript.
It's a nice, bright red.
Easy for me to keep an eye on.
Really easy for me to just go. But, of course, unfortunately, it's not easy to hide.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, right.
So I got that. But let's see. How much time have we been?
We are at 1:53 my time here.
Oh, so we're almost 2 hours.
What?
Are we almost 2 hours? We can.
I thought you said, do you think we're going to be able to do 1 hour? Didn't you say that?
No way. No way. We had to do 2 hours. We have to. I just absolutely want to thank you, honestly, from the bottom of my heart and the hearts of every member on our Titan site, that we're really looking forward to this.
It's a good site. I look at it all the time.
Thank you.
I appreciate what everybody
Yes.
has done supporting the 3.2 album. That
Yes.
the day it came out, I was very worried that people would say, "What's this guy doing?" And I felt compelled to put it out, because I didn't want the last things that Keith Emerson did to sort of not be worthy of the guy I thought he was. And
Absolutely.
I felt that this album showed that he still had it. If he was working with somebody that wanted to protect the king, to think of him as royalty, how do I put it? Like I talked about earlier, you need to cherish those kind of people. There's very few of them in the world. And,
there is. There really is. And when I'm listening to you talk about different types, it's like the 2 or 3 or 5 that stand out in our business, whether it's computers or whether it's computers in here, right? I mean, really, there's no difference.
Computers.
Computers, right? But no, I was thinking, what is a word? What is a word that really describes somebody that is so far above and beyond the ones that we already consider greats?
Yeah, genius is half of it.
Genius is half of it, and boy, is he.
I think there's lots of geniuses that aren't soulful or they don't have the same heart. And that was the difference I saw with Keith. Definitely genius level, best there ever was, but the sweetest guy, which is what made me write that song, Our Bond.
Yeah.
Because when I looked online the first couple weeks after he was gone, I was so, my whole life, my only hit song was with Keith. My most famous friend was Keith. The funniest guy, he was so funny. And I was doing my dream, 30-year dream. We were doing the second 3 album, and it was just gone. So it was tough for me, but I'm seeing all this online and on your site and everything, and seeing people that felt they knew him as a friend because of the guy he was, not just the musician he was. So I wrote Our Bond. I wanted to say, hey, this guy's music bonded us together, but we feel him at the same time, like you feel him in here, because so much was done here.
We're
and so much of his
family.
equipment that, he got me, or I bought through him or something, there's stuff around it. This here is
All kinds of stuff.
you see on his notes, the Korg 8000. This is the 8000 down here.
Okay, hang on.
It's just a synth module. It's an analog synth module. And you can see it's full of dust. I wouldn't
Oh
use
my
it,
gosh.
But that, the rack mount D50, it's a 550. You see in his notes. Here. Used all over 3.2 album. Because that was our sound. The Moog, I have a memory Moog. Well, the first thing he said, okay, that's great. How'd you get me that much money? And he goes, I'll have the big Moog shipped down. I said, no. I'll have the big Moog before. I'll tell you what, let's use your memory Moog to start with. And then we'll send it back, the music to you. You can put the big Moog on if the memory Moog doesn't do it.
There you
but
go.
The memory Moog has all, it's a real Moog. It's fantastic. Well, it's on the album. Yeah.
Oh my
But
gosh.
still, it was just
It's perfect.
amazing, and I'm feeling this from people when I see it. So our bond came together.
And and I think too, the groups, the EOP groups that we have on Facebook has kept our stars, our geniuses alive, instead of letting them die away with this new music.
And pictures and stories you never heard before. What?
Videos, everything, right? The Q&A, all of it. And you go, huh? And so I think we all try to do. All the admins certainly do. And, we're out there, and I call it, have a buddy here that calls me I'm going in the rabbit hole. So I always say, I'm going in deep today.
There's things for Chris Squire that I love seeing. There's things on Keith I love seeing at ELP.
Yeah.
This friend of mine, Rolf, who has the 3 Facebook site, just people send things to him that I never saw on my own history. Go, oh my God, look, and tickets from the shows and stuff. Different. Where does this stuff come from? It's so great to have a community of people that sort of cherish, I don't know if it's keeping it alive or just it's a time and a place in their life that's still relevant today.
Absolutely.
That's cool. And that's what I think the 3.2 album I got the most out of from people. We thought the sound and everything would last forever, and they hadn't heard anything from Keith like this.
Yeah.
And they thought, this is good. I'm so proud of that.
That's very good.
It worked out, and that's why you're here.
And that's why you're here.
Well,
in all seriousness, if there were not people like you, we would let this music literally disappear. And we don't. There's enough of us that go and say, you know what? I loved this stuff then. It may have changed my life. It may have changed my destiny. You know, music can do a lot of things to the emotions and whatnot. And keep it going, right?
You know, it also keeps it more relevant to young listeners.
Yes.
To have something new coming out, it leads them to the past.
Yes, they can do a little bit more comparing.
Yeah.
They can say, "What is this?" Beep, beep, right?
What the hell?
But and then what? I'm used to yeah, or whatever. But you know, the thing of it is that you know people have an opportunity to hear what we loved. You know, the concerts, those 5-band Day on the Greens.
Yeah,
I was at all of them.
Yeah.
And they all meant something very, very, very personally.
And you know, music comes around again too.
Yes, it does.
You know.
And I'm going to scoot myself over
Okay.
here too because I'm on.
We're going to go the wrong direction now.
Oh dear. You know what we are? Well, we can fix that. Okay. We have.
Okay.
I wish I would have turned this the other way. I'm sorry, people. All right.
That was good.
Okay.
I
we
was
got
probably
us in
picking my
there.
nose or something most of the time. I go, oh,
I
that's on me?
I should really go like,
There you go.
know, more like that.
No, no.
This
no, no,
is
no.
Robert
Too
Berry.
close here. I look better that way. There we go.
This is Robert Berry right out of his studio.
You know,
I tell
Working
you,
every
this
day.
guy is so great to talk to. He's great. And his music is fabulous. He's done so much with so many people.
the luckiest guy you
Emerson.
never heard of. That's what I am.
So thank you very much all for watching. I will be adding this after I edit it to not that I'm taking anything away, don't worry. I'm just cleaning it so that everything's smooth. Yeah, right. I know, right? No, I'm going to clean it up and then I'll get it on the archives for Backstage Pass. So,
Very good.
again, this is Robert Berry. I'm your host, hostess, Dyanne Klinko, from the Emerson, Lake and Palmer Titans of PROG exclusive site. You won't find this anywhere else. And then what I do is I'll take this and this will go to Backstage Pass Archives Library. And to get there, you have to come through us.
There you go. Like a drug dealer. Geez.
Yeah, right. So I'm gonna say goodbye. I really hope that you had a great time listening to Robert and all the wonderful things he had to say. And
Well, please come out and see the tour. I want to shake everybody's hand. That would be really nice to.
yes,
You know, it's a small community. It's a fairly large, small community.
it really,
It's, you know,
really is.
it's-
But you know what?
Faithful people to prog music and to, so many great artists that are virtuoso players and all that. Oh my God, it's
Yeah.
takes a more intelligent person to like prog music. You know
Yeah,
that.
you know, I think it does. Well, us
Thank you.
intelligent people are going to say bye-bye to our other intelligent people.
We'll see you.
And we will see you. Come see Robert. Come see Robert Berry and his band. And he has a whole tour. I know that.
I
Because
didn't mention Jimmy Keegan too from Spock's Beards, the drummer.
That's
So
right,
I mean,
that's right.
yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be a big deal. You don't want to miss it. And if you go to Robert Berry's
RobbertBerry.com.
page,
You can find that.
yeah,
on the
you'll be
website.
able to find it and find the city closest to you, and make sure you grab that ticket early.
There you go. They're inexpensive too. I'm not doing it to make $1 million. I tell you that. It's probably going to cost me a lot of money in the long run. But I want to see the people that have made me able to have this great life. I mean, that's what it's all about. You know.
It's a bunch of us, huh?
That's right. A bunch of yous.
But you know what? It took a bunch of you and your talent. Thank you.
All right, everybody. I'll see you later.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
The rules are changed. Where are those words that you said when I believed